Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I have another book review for you, and it is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll know I went to a book signing with Naomi Novik and saw her talk in Bath at Mr Bs Emporium. It was amazing. So if you get a chance to go and see Naomi Novik talk, I highly recommend it. She's a super nice person. But we are going to discuss the first book in the Scholomance series, which is A Deadly Education. If you're new here, don't forget, if you like what you see, to subscribe to this channel. Your continued support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. As always with my book reviews, I'll read you guys the blurb first. Enter a school of magic unlike any you have ever encountered. There are no teachers, no holidays, friendships are purely strategic, and the odds of survival are never equal. Once you're inside, there are only two ways out. You graduate or you die. Elle Higgins is uniquely prepared for the school's many dangers. She may be without allies, but she possesses a dark power strong enough to level mountains and wipe out untold millions. Never mind easily destroy the countless monsters that prowl the school. Except she might accidentally kill all the other students too. So Elle is trying her hardest not to use it. That is, unless she has no other choice. Woo! Has loads of good reviews here. We've got one from Holly Black, which says Novik deliciously undoes expectations about magic schools, destined heroes and family legacies. A gorgeous book. Stephanie Garber, who is the author of the Caraval series. If you haven't seen my review on that, the link is above me now. Skillfully combines sharp humour with layers of imagination to build a fantasy that delights on every level. Catherine Arden, The Dark School of Magic I've Been Waiting For. Pierce Brown, savage, inventive and soulful. N.K. Jemisin, hilarious and wild. And BuzzFeed, I love this book. On the front, we also have Kieran Millwood Hargrave, says a dark, smart, delicious tale. From Naomi's talk at Mr Bs Emporium in Bath, I know that the Scholomance is based on the Scholomance story, which is originally about the devil. The devil will accept 10 students into the Scholomance, and at the end of their teaching they can leave, but the last soul remains. So the devil will take the last graduate soul. So that is what this series is based on. Because we have A Deadly Education, which is about the Scholomance, and then the second book in the series is called The Last Graduate. So Naomi Novik has taken a lot of inspiration from this book about the devil and made it her own, and I absolutely loved it. As always, I will try to be spoiler free at the beginning of this video, and then I will warn you for spoiler alert when spoilers may come into place. First of all, let's discuss the very first sentence in this book. Oh my god, there's even more reviews inside. There are 5 pages worth of reviews, guys, so a lot of people like this book. Oh, the first sentence in this book. I decided that Orion needed to die after the second time he saved my life. That is a perfect opener to a story, and I tried to take my time to work out why that sentence is so good. As you can see from behind me, I have the opening sentence to Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, because that is also a very skillfully written opening sentence, which if you don't know it, the Pride and Prejudice is, it is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Now this one is a little bit less about wanting someone and more about killing them. As we've just read, I decided that Orion needed to die after the second time he saved my life. So this Orion person is not in Elle's good books. So the reason I believe that this is a really good opener to a story is because it leaves you with questions. So you have to keep reading because you have many questions. Now I don't know about you, but that first sentence for me, question 1, who is Orion? Question 2, how did they save Elle's life? 3, what did they save them from? 4, it's written in the past tense. So is Orion now dead? Is Orion alive? Because of these 4 questions, this first sentence immediately builds tension and curiosity, which is going to make you keep reading the book. And you'll find with this book that there's so many quotes like this. It's a very good page turner. So even Naomi Novik said when she wrote this, she didn't write it for a specific age group. She writes believing that the book will find the audience that wants it. But it has been marketed as a young adult, it's been marketed as middle grade, it's been marketed as new adult. Basically, it depends how graphic a book you want to read, because there is blood and guts in this. There's a lot of sexual tension, so it depends how much you want to read of that. I have a quote for you guys from page 11, which is, "It's not completely impossible to be a long-term Maleficer. Leo's going to be alright. She's being a lot more careful about it than Jack. I bet she used almost all her weight allocation to bring a sack of hamsters or something in with her, and she's been sacrificing them on a planned schedule." A Maleficer is someone who takes their mana for magic from another person. So Leo is someone who is very important to the story, but also they are a Maleficer, but they don't take it from other humans. So Elle's basically saying that they're a nice person and she can pretty much guarantee they've got a bag of mice or rats or hamsters in their room, and they're slowly taking mana from those rather than from people. But if you're a Maleficer, it leaves a mark on you, so people know that you are. Whereas Jack, who she mentions, has definitely taken from a human, and Elle knows who, but she won't tell the school because she doesn't have any allies. She's a complete loner in this, and I absolutely love Elle's general attitude. She's all for survival, but she wants to survive in the right way. She doesn't want to hurt other people. She doesn't want anyone to be left behind. It's actually really refreshing, but she comes across as really harsh and nasty, but that is all a defense. On page 60, I have another quote. "Yes, I'm passionately excited to share more information with you. You've demonstrated sense and good judgment just fill me with confidence." This is just an example of how sarcastic Elle is. So someone wants more information from them, but they've reacted like a moron, so that doesn't make Elle want to give them any information because they obviously don't react sensibly, so why would you give them that information? Normally, if you've seen things like my review on the wolf border, I don't generally like female protagonists when they've been made nasty just to make them seem stronger. Elle, on the other hand, doesn't actually seem nasty to me, and one of the reasons that is because it's written from her point of view and you get a lot of internal dialogue. So you know that inside she's actually just hurt and scared and she doesn't know what to do or how to act with these people. So you build a lot of compassion for her very early on. Now I know there are people out there who will disagree with me on this because she is very, very harsh, but as you continue reading, Elle has a great character arc, and unlike a lot of female characters that are nasty, I don't think Elle is nasty, and I do find her rather refreshing. She is a very good female protagonist. This is the last quote I'll share with you guys, and then we will say spoiler free, but on page 249 to 250. "However many literature classes might try to sell you on Lord of the Flies, that story is about as realistic as the source of my name. Kids don't go feral en masse in here." I love this because if you've done GCSE English in the UK, Lord of the Flies is one of the books you might have been made to read. It is definitely the one that I had to read. And it's basically about a load of boys who end up on an island and they basically murder each other and abandon one another. It's quite scary and horrible. You're like, oh, do humans really act that way? And you just hope that you wouldn't react in that way. And I just love how Elle's referenced that, because they're saying that kids don't murder each other en masse when they're stuck in a difficult situation. They might not care for everyone on an equal level, but they're not murdering each other, they're not fighting each other that much, they're just all trying to survive in their own way. I'm going to say spoiler alert, guys, so if you haven't read this book or you don't want any spoilers from it, then skip to this time here. If you are happy with spoilers or you have read this book, then stay tuned. Spoiler alert. Alright, on page 260. "Right, a golem," I said with contempt, "because the powers that be never thought of trying that, surely. Don't even open your mouth in my direction, you overgrown lemon." I absolutely love this. So what has happened? Orion keeps killing all of the creatures in the school. All of them. Which means there's a lot waiting in the graduation hall. So the current year who are going to graduate really don't like Orion, because they're all going to be downstairs ready to eat them, and they're all starving because Orion has been killing them all year. So they are discussing how to fix the firewall that could rid the graduation hall of these Maleficaria in order for the graduating year to get through. Now, of course, they're discussing it because the adults would normally do this, and they've given up because they can't find anything that works. they suggested making a golem, and Elle is like, well yeah, because no one ever thought of just sending in a man-made creature to do the job, because of course they had. But as she's saying it, Orion tries to obviously stand up. Now none of this is told to you, you can just see it happening in the paragraph. He tries to stand up to say something, such as he can just go down there and clear the graduation hall, and she calls him an oversized lemon, which I adore because lemons are renowned for just following each other into certain death. And Orion is literally a lemon. He doesn't care about his own life, he just wants to go in and fight everything and be the hero. Well, that's what Elle thinks anyway. But he's willing to go in there, and she's just like, no, don't you even think about it. And I absolutely love that. Page 267. Getting close to valedictorian does require a muscular ego, but his was on steroids. Again, it's just a fantastic way of showing someone's personality instead of telling you it. Naomi Novik could easily just write down that this guy's ego was massive, but she doesn't. She makes Elle tell you and describe it, but not just by saying, oh, your ego is massive, by saying that anyone who's aiming for valedictorian has to have a muscular ego, but theirs is on steroids, that theirs is an even bigger ego than the other people going for valedictorian. And my final quote is page 301. My mom told me that all boys are carrying a secret pet mal around in their underwear, and if you get along with them, they let it out. Perfect. I love that. This is Adia's mum, and Adia's mum, in my opinion, is a genius because that is just mwah, perfect. Love it. So cute. The last line in this book really leaves you hungry for the next. Now this is a trilogy, which is now all out. So if you've been waiting to read it, it's all out now, guys. The last line in this book is, my darling girl, I love you. Have courage, my mother wrote, and keep far away from Orion Lake. Now, if you've read this book, you'll know that's not maybe a possibility. It makes you want to pick up The Last Graduate immediately. Welcome back if you've come from the spoiler-free section. So I'm going to go into my overall view of this book now. We've finished all the quotes. So overall, this book, it uses a lot of tropes. We have the chosen one, we have the wizard in school, but it uses them well. Now, I did actually ask Naomi Novik, how does she feel as a writer about using tropes, and how do you decide what is a trope and what is cliche? If you haven't seen my videos on tropes versus cliches, those links are above and below me now, because basically a trope, a kind of story plot or device that you've seen before, and it's become a trope. It's well known, it's used often because it works. A trope becomes a cliche when these become overdone. Now this can actually be really personal. For some people, what could be cliche could be a trope to others, or a trope to someone else is a massive cliche. So the chosen one and the wizard in school are massive, well-known tropes. So I asked Naomi Novik, what's her rule as a writer for how would you use them? And I knew her answer beforehand because of how she'd answered other questions in the talk anyway, but it's only a cliche if it's a cliche to you, ultimately. If she thinks that it's what she'd want to read and she would enjoy it, then she's going to write it down. And I just love that attitude. Naomi Novik's writing, she's such a superb writer, and yet she's writing for herself. She's writing what she would want to read and hoping that book will find its audience of people who also want to read that, which is refreshing because there's a lot of authors who give you more than a guide, almost like if you follow this exact plot structure or this exact thing, it'll work, and avoid this cliche at all costs. But even if it's like, you don't have to avoid them if you think it would work for you in your story. So this is a very fast-paced book. You will read it very, very quickly. It's really refreshing with a female protagonist who I absolutely adored. She's so sarcastic, so funny. The world inside the Scholarmans is really interesting. So it's a closed world book because you'd never get out of the Scholarmans. You are for the entire school year in the Scholarmans. It has a safety net almost, that you're in a school, they have exams, they have coursework, they have homework. So it cushions you in because there are things that you know in this world mixed with the Maleficara and the Manor, which are all things that you don't know about. This book doesn't have a map, but in the back it does have a picture of people's bedrooms, so you can see the difference between an Enclave's room and Elle's room. It's just very imaginative and I absolutely adored it. So I would give this book a 10 out of 10 stars. I have read the second one, and as I said, I've been to the talk. I have the third one, and I am very excited to read it. But highly recommend it. Read A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. It's just a very refreshing, almost palate cleanser, thriller sort of read. It's great. And that's all I've got for you for this book review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you like what you see. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If there's seasons I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post my bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!